in the steaming heart of Lagos, where noise never sleeps, where dreams are bought and sold in small market stalls, there is a story. A story so old that even the dust in Oyingbo market seems to whisper it. Be careful the ashoerbi you wear. Not every cloth is meant for dancing. Some cloths are sewn. For burial you will never see. The elders knew. But the young, hungry for glitter, hungry for belonging, they laughed it away, danced it away, sewed their names into fates they could not see. And the queen of it all, the mistress of colors, the weaver of destinies hidden in bright thread, was Mama Sade. Nobody knew exactly when Mama Sade first opened her shop. Some said it was before independence. Some said she had outlived 3 generations of market women. But whenever you saw her, you saw beauty frozen in time. Her skin, rich brown, smooth as polished wood. Her smile, wide, white, and easy, like she knew a secret you would never guess. Her eyes, sharp, deep, with a glint that was not fully human. And her shop, a Shoerbi palace, stood proudly in the middle of Oyingbo market. Bright banners flapped above her doors. Champagne gold Ashoerbi, emerald green wonders, bridal lace from Italy, Ankara from the spirit lands. Inside, it was a kingdom of cloth. Soft lace whispered on hangers. Bold Ankara danced on wooden poles. Thick Aso Oke waited like ancient warriors ready for battle. And deep at the very back of the shop, hidden behind layered curtains, was a door. A small, black, heavy door. No handle, no welcome, only a sign, hand-carved. Who has seen the face of death? The salesgirls knew about the door, but no one dare go close. The customers sensed it. Nobody asked about the door. You were told, sell the cloth, fold the jewel, count the money, but never, ever touch that door. It was on a sweaty Thursday afternoon that Anike's life began to twist. She sat in her tiny tailor shop, sewing frantically for a customer who had threatened to cancel. Sweat trickled down her back. Her hands were sore. Her mind was tired. That was when they came, Biri and Tola, her friends since their sewing apprentice days. They burst into her shop like a gust of perfume and laughter, their hands swinging 2 shiny black nylon bags. "Anike!" Biri cried, pulling out a soft, gleaming cloth. "See correct Ashoerbi O, champagne gold and emerald green. It's Mama Sade's latest material." The fabric shimmered under the weak bulb light, catching even the dust in the air. Tola joined, voice dripping with pride. "You can't dull yourself this time, O. Everybody has bought. If you don't wear this Ashoerbi to Lolar's birthday, you will be so ashamed, and it will just mean you don't belong." Anike hesitated. She touched the cloth. It felt heavier than it should, almost like it pulsed slightly under her fingers, but she said nothing. She smiled tightly. Inside her chest, something fluttered uneasily. Lolar's birthday bash was the talk of Lagos. The invitation-only event was to be hosted at the Crystal Gardens, a hall so big and bright it looked like it was built for kings. And the dress code? Guests, champagne gold and emerald green, courtesy of Mama Sade's Ashoerbi. Celebrant, a wine-red velvet gown with gold embroidery, heavier, richer, a clear sign she was above them all. Everyone who was anybody scrambled to be there. Social media buzzed. Makeup artists and photographers doubled their fees. Anike, after borrowing from Mama Ireti once again, stitched herself a gown she prayed would make her look like she belonged. The night of the party. Lagos streets glittered with headlights, gold dust, and dreams. At Crystal Gardens, the air throbbed with Afro beats. Cameras flashed endlessly. Bouncers barked orders at impatient crowds. The scent of jollof rice, fried meat, and money floated like holy incense. Inside, it was a sea of champagne gold and emerald green. Hundreds of women shimmered like a living river of cloth. Mama Sade arrived late, not as a guest, but as a goddess. She wore a breathtaking black and silver lace, different, majestic, floating above the noise. She walked past the cameras, her smile gentle, her eyes watching. No one noticed the slight shudder in the chandeliers when she passed. No one noticed the cold that briefly kissed the air. No one dared notice. The party was a success. Pictures flooded Instagram. Snapchat videos captured laughter and dancing. Every caption screamed, "Biggest party of the year! Champagne Gold Slayers! Legos no they carry last!" But 3 days later, a whisper began. A girl, Funke, one of the guests in the Ashoerbi, was found dead in her apartment. Face twisted in confusion, mouth frozen mid-scream, no sign of violence, no robbery, no illness. Her family cried. The market women sighed. The social media pages reposted her last party video with sad emojis, but nobody connected it. Nobody remembered the shimmering cloth she wore. Nobody questioned the river of champagne gold and emerald green. The party had ended. The story had begun. Back at Oyingbo Market, Mama Sade's Ashoerbi Palace grew even busier. Funke's death was forgotten. Another party was planned. More cloths sold. The sales girls continued their hustle, folding, selling, counting, until one afternoon when Roni K, one of the newest sales girls, heard something. Standing near the back wall while arranging gel, she heard it. A low hum, software pulling, calling. It came from the black door. She froze. Her heart jumped. Her hands trembled. The hum grew louder, like hundreds of tiny voices singing through cloth. Roni K stepped closer, against her will, step by step, breath by breath, just as her hand stretched out to touch the door. "Roni K!" Mama Sade's voice, sharp, slicing through the air like a knife. Roni K spun around, heart hammering. Mama Sade stood there smiling, but her eyes were twin blades. "Are you not needed in front?" she asked sweetly. Roni K stammered. "Yes, Ma." She fled to the front of the shop. She did not sleep well that night. She did not return to work the next day, or the next. By the third day, her name became another whisper in Oyingbo Market. "That girl, Roni K, she just vanished like that." After the Crystal Gardens party, Mama Sade's shop did not just grow. It exploded. There was something in the air. A fever. An invisible thread that tied every woman in Lagos together. If you haven't worn Mama Sade's Ashoerbi this year, you don't exist. It didn't matter whether you lived in Lekki mansions or Makoko slums. People scrambled for her cloth. Young girls begged boyfriends for money. Married women blackmailed their husbands. Grandmothers squeezed their life savings. Some even sold their gold chains, their old freezers, their children's toys. All to buy the next Ashoerbi from Mama Sade. And Mama Sade, she smiled. She smiled the way a cat smiles when a mouse walks into its paw. 3 weeks after the Crystal Gardens party, another grand occasion shook the city. Mrs. Ronke Oladipo's 50th birthday party. Dress code: teal, blue, and rose gold Ashoerbi, exclusively sourced from Mama Sade. The cloth was heavenly, soft as whispered lies, heavy as broken promises, shiny as a secret kept too long. Anike's friends returned, bags in hand, cloths in hand, hearts full of excitement. "Anike, you go dull again!" Biri shrieked. "If you don't wear this one, forget friendship!" This time, Anike resisted longer. But peer pressure is a cruel wind. It blows until even the strongest trees bend. She borrowed again. She sewed again. She wore the teal and rose gold cloth like armor, unaware it was a noose. At Mrs. Ronka's party, the women were stunning. Their clothes caught the chandelier's light like living fire. But behind the smiles, Lagos was breaking. Mrs. Dupka Green sold her jewelry box to buy the cloth. Mr. Cole Attawale fought his wife for emptying their savings to sew matching family outfits. Chidinma, a poor undergraduate, missed her school fees just to buy 1 yard and sew a mini gown. A Sowerby fever didn't care. It claimed victims, rich and poor alike. Nobody questioned why Mama Sade's cloths always sold out first. Nobody wondered why strange illnesses began knocking on the doors of some who wore them. Because Lagos people love celebration, even if death waits behind the music. Inside Ashowerby Palace, the salesgirls worked like bees. Every day, cloth moved from racks to hands, hands to homes, homes to parties, parties to silent tears. And the black door hummed, sometimes louder, sometimes softer. One afternoon, during a rush hour, Dupke, another bold new salesgirl, paused while folding a heavy stack of mint green jewel. She heard the humming, software sweet, seductive. Without thinking, she drifted toward the forbidden back wall. As her fingers brushed the frame of the black door, "Duke!" Mama Sade's voice, silky and sharp like velvet hiding a knife. Dupe dropped the jewel, trembling. Mama Sade smiled warmly. "Come and help at the front, my dear. A good customer is waiting." Dupe obeyed. She served the customer. She smiled. She folded cloths. She never returned the next day, or the next. Another whisper floated through Oyingbo. "Duped on Miss O, nobody fit fine dam." In the weeks that followed, Mrs. Dupe Afolayan lost her husband to sudden madness. Kole Adewale's wife fell into a strange depression, never speaking again. Chidinma was expelled from school after fainting during her exams, never regaining memory. And all of them had worn different versions of Mama Sade's Ashowerby. Different colors, teal blue and rose gold, peach and gold, mint green and cream, dusty lilac and silver. Different parties, different excuses, same secret. But still, nobody connected the dots. Nobody dared. Because Ashowerby fever burns hotter than common sense. Pride wears the loudest colors. And Lagos dances even when the drummer is death. Meanwhile, inside Ashowerby Palace, business bloomed like poisoned flowers. Mama Sade grew even more beautiful, younger. Her waist slimmed, her skin glowed, her laughter grew lighter, sweeter, hungrier. At night, when the shop closed, when the noise died down. If you passed Oyingbo Market, you might see something through a crack in the door. Ashowerby cloths floating in the air without hands. A faint blue fire burning without smoke. Shadows dancing against the walls without bodies. But nobody passed at night. Those who dared never returned. Then came a new salesgirl. Her name was Ify K. Slim, sharp-eyed, with a laugh like bells and a stubbornness as thick as yam. She joined Mama Sade's Ashowerby Palace 2 months after Roni K's disappearance. Nobody told her what happened to the other girls. The walls of the shop swallowed secrets like water into sand. But Ify K noticed. The empty spaces in the salesgirl lockers. The way Mama Sade sometimes looked at the back door, then at them. The sudden silence that fell whenever someone accidentally mentioned a missing name. The black door. It called to her. Every day. In the market, the fever continued. New parties, new colors. Mint green and peach for Mrs. Ayula's granddaughter's wedding. Dusty rose and silver for Alhaji Sulaimon's 70th birthday. Blush pink and champagne for Honorable Iredi's retirement party. Each Ashowerby sourced directly from Mama Sade. Each party bringing small disasters afterward. A bridegroom that disappeared 2 days after the wedding. A birthday celebrant who lost his voice permanently. A retired man who went mad and started hawking pure water. But still, nobody connected it to the cloth. They only said, life is mysterious. Yoruba land day hard this year. Meanwhile, Mama Sade grew younger, her cheeks fuller, her waist slimmer, her laughter sweeter. Among the gossip mongers of Oyingbo Market, one question began to rise like smoke. How can a woman so rich, so beautiful, so ageless, have no child? Some said Mama Sade's womb had been sealed by jealous witches. Some said she sacrificed motherhood for riches. Some said she was never truly human at all, but none dared say it aloud near her shop, because no matter the whispers, business was good, and in Lagos, money washes all sins. One bright Wednesday morning, Mama Sade called a sudden meeting inside the Ashoerbi Palace. She stood at the center of her shop, clothed in a dazzling gold agbada stitched with blood-red roses. She shone so brightly the cloth seemed to breathe. Her voice rang out, "Lagos, my birthday is coming, and we must celebrate it in grand style." A roar of excitement filled the market. "A party? Mama Sade's party?" Mama Sade smiled, her white teeth flashing. "Champagne, gold, and emerald green Ashoerbi for my guests, straight from Paris. Special souvenirs for every guest, bags of rice, microwaves, money spraying." The fever ignited again. People ran to buy her cloth. Some borrowed, some sold fridges, some mortgaged their cars. Because to miss Mama Sade's party was to bury your social life in Lagos. The night before the party, Ify K sat quietly at the back of the shop, folding gele. Her hands moved mechanically, her ears tuned to the soft hum behind the black door. She turned slightly. No one was watching. She crept closer. The door, it vibrated softly, whispering, singing. Her hand trembled as she reached out. "Ify K!" She jumped, spinning around. Mama Sade stood in the middle of the shop, arms folded, smiling, but her smile was stretched too wide, her teeth too many. "Why are you not at the front helping to pack the Ashoerbi for tomorrow?" Ify K stammered. Sorry, Mom, I was just..." Mama Sade waved her hand gently. "Go, my dear. Tomorrow is a big day. We must all shine, eh?" Her voice was sweet, too sweet. Ify K fled to the front. Her heart beat painfully against her ribs. The day came. The sun rose blood-red over Lagos. Crystal Palace Event Center overflowed with gold and green. Women sparkled like treasures. Men strutted like peacocks. The music tore the sky apart. Mama Sade entered last, wearing an impossible gown of pure white lace, glittering with what looked suspiciously like tiny human eyes woven into the fabric. She danced, she laughed, she sprayed money. The ground shook with celebration. Bags of rice, standing fans, microwaves, all tossed at guests like candy. Social media exploded. Mama Sade at 50, biggest party Lagos, Marde Ashoerbi slayers. But under the lights, behind the music, something stirred. Old women in the corner refused to eat. The air grew heavy around the hall's edges. Some children cried for no reason, and Mama Sade's smile grew wider, sharper. While everyone was busy celebrating at the Ashoerbi Palace shop, Ify K crept back. Her heart pounding, her breath shallow. This was her chance. Madame Sade was busy. The sales girls were busy. Nobody would notice. She tiptoed to the black door. The hum was louder than ever now, a song of souls trapped in silk. She placed her hand on the door. It was cold, alive. She pushed. Nothing. The door was locked. Frustrated, she pressed her ear against it and heard them. Voices, software crying, begging. Suddenly, click, a sound behind her. She turned slowly and saw Mama Sade standing at the entrance, still wearing her glowing white cloth, still smiling. But her eyes were no longer brown. They were pools of green mist. "Looking for something, Ify K?" Her voice was still sweet. Too sweet. Ify K froze. She could not move. She could not breathe. Mama Sade's eyes glowed faintly, pools of green mist swirling quietly in their depths. The old woman's smile was still warm, but the air between them was ice. Mama Sade walked slowly toward her. Each step echoed like a hammer against a coffin lid. Ify K tried to speak. Her mouth was dry. her throat squeezed shut. Mama Shade leaned close, so close Ify could smell her. Roses. And something else. Something like old ashes. Her voice was soft, almost motherly. "You are here to sell Asho Airby, my dear? Not to open doors?" Ify shivered. Mama Shade's hand gently touched her shoulder, yet the touch burned through her skin like fire. "Curiosity," Mama Shade whispered, "is a beautiful cloth, but very difficult to sew back once it tears." Then, as suddenly as it came, the green mist vanished from her eyes. Mama Shade smiled brightly, patted Ify's cheek like a favorite child. "Now go and help pack the geel. Tomorrow we'll be busy." Her voice was light, playful, but Ify's legs refused to move. She stumbled backward like a drunk, heart hammering, mind spinning, until she collapsed on the stool behind the cashier table. The other girls looked at her strangely, but nobody said a word. Nobody ever spoke about the door. From that day onward, Mama Shade's eyes never left Ify. In the morning, she smiled too sweetly. In the afternoon, she stood too close. In the evening, she lingered too long near Ify's section, always watching, always waiting. Ify kept her head down. She worked faster. She laughed louder, but deep inside, fear grew like weeds in abandoned soil. She dared not look at the black door again, but she could feel it. Breathing, beating, waiting. Lagos moved on. Lagos always moved on. New parties sprang up like mushrooms after rain. Mrs. Tayo Adeleke's daughter's wedding. Asho Airby, burnt orange and cream. Result: groom disappeared 2 days after the wedding. Chief Benson's 60th birthday. Asho Airby, royal purple and silver. Result: birthday celebrant hospitalized after strange voices filled his house. Young entrepreneurs gala night. Asho Airby, emerald green and champagne dust. Result: 3 CEOs lost their companies within a month. And all the Asho Airby? Bought from Mama Shade. Still nobody connected the dots. Instead, they said, "Village people at work. God is testing us. Life is mysterious." And Mama Shade grew younger, and her shop grew fatter, and the black door hummed louder. One misty morning, as Ify hurried through Oyingbo Market to open the shop, an old woman selling roasted maize called her over. Her face was wrinkled like dry cloth, her eyes sharp like broken bottles. "My child," the woman croaked, "no cloth is as sweet as the one that will sew your coffin." Ify froze. The woman leaned closer, her breath hot and sour. "You are selling cloths that can never tear, and spirits are the ones sewing them. Shine your eye. Shine it well." Before Ify could respond, the woman shuffled away, lost among the noise and the crowd. That day, Ify's hands shook while folding lace, and Mama Shade smiled wider than ever. That evening, as the market wound down and sellers packed their goods, strange things began to happen around Asho Airby Palace. Bolts of cloth unrolling by themselves, geel falling from hangers without wind, mirrors cracking quietly in the corners. And the black door. It no longer just hummed, it whispered. Names, places, secrets. Ify covered her ears, but the whispers slipped through anyway. That night, Ify could not sleep. When she closed her eyes, she saw the black door. When she opened them, she heard the humming in her pillow. And somewhere deep inside her, deeper than her heart, deeper than her soul, a voice spoke. "Run." But where? To who? In Lagos, money rules all. Even death wears bright Asho Airby and dances at parties. Meanwhile, inside her private chamber behind the forbidden door, Mama Shade prepared. She placed a fresh bolt of Asho Airby on an ancient stool. She lit candles made from old cloth and melted whispers. The room shimmered with unseen spirits. "Another harvest soon," she whispered to the shadows. Her smile stretched, the green mist returning to her eyes. because Ifikai's time was ticking, not because she touched the door, but because curiosity has its own price. The first dream came quietly. Ifikai lay in her small one-room apartment near Ajagunle, exhausted after another long day folding cloths and dodging Mama Sade's sharp smiles. In the dead of night, as the street dogs howled and the air grew cold, she dreamed. She stood alone inside Ashoerbi Palace. But the shop was not the same. The cloths, they were alive. They breathed. They pulsed. They whispered her name. Ifike, Ifike, come, sow your destiny. She turned to run, but the cloths unrolled themselves, wrapping around her legs, binding her arms, pulling her toward the black door. The door opened slowly. From within, a river of Ashoerbi cloth flowed out, all colors, all patterns, and in the river floated the faces of the missing girls. Roni K's face, Dupe's face, Sayo's face. Eyes wide, mouths frozen mid-scream, their heads bobbing among the waves of shimmering fabric. Ifike screamed, but no sound came out. Just as the cloths pulled her under, she woke up, sweating, gasping, heart galloping against her ribs. The whisper still echoed in her ears. Mind your business, or wear your own Ashoerbi for burial. 2 days later, as Ifike arranged bolts of dusty blue and coral orange Ashoerbi for an upcoming chieftaincy party, a strange customer entered the shop. An old woman, stooped and wrapped in a faded brown wrapper. She moved slowly. Her feet made no sound against the tiled floor. She looked around with empty eyes, then pointed at Ifike. You, come. Ifike hesitated. Mama Sade, standing at the counter, narrowed her eyes slightly. Go now, she said sweetly. Serve our mother. Ifike approached. The old woman leaned close, her voice a dry whisper. Beware the woman whose cloth never fades. Beware the smiles sown with blood. Before Ifike could respond, the woman dropped a rusty cowrie shell into her palm, turned, and disappeared into the street, vanishing like smoke. When Ifike opened her hand, the cowrie shell had cracked into two. Inside, something dark squirmed and disappeared. She nearly fainted. Mama Sade only smiled from behind the counter, her teeth gleaming like polished bone. Legos continued to dance to the music of Ashoerbi. Dr. Kahindi's daughter's engagement. Ashoerbi, cinnamon brown and champagne silver. Result, bride collapsed on the wedding day and was paralyzed waist down. Alhaja Funmi's burial ceremony, Ashoerbi, forest green and dusty gold. Result, 3 family members began hearing strange cries in their homes. Chief Ayula's 75th birthday bash, Ashoerbi, mauve purple and blush pink. Result, Chief Ayula lost his speech after blowing out his candles. At every event, people wore Mama Sade's cloth proudly, took pictures, posted on Instagram, and then they suffered in silence, but nobody pointed fingers. In Lagos, appearance was more important than survival. In the shop, Ifike began to notice things, gale folding themselves and standing upright, rolls of ankara whispering as they unrolled, mirrors showing her reflection smiling, even when she wasn't. The other salesgirls noticed too, but they did what Lagos people do best. They pretended not to hear, pretended not to see, pretended everything was fine as long as the money kept flowing. Ifike tried to warn Biri and Tola, but they laughed at her. Ashoerbi no dey kill person, Jor. If you know one shine, shift make we shine. Peer pressure has no ears. Then came the biggest announcement yet, Mama Sade's annual customer appreciation party. Every buyer of Ashoerbi from January till date would be invited. Over 2,000 guests. The cloth was breathtaking. Soft blush pink with champagne diamond embroidery. Expensive, exclusive, elegant. The fever returned stronger than ever. Lagos shook. Everyone wanted to belong. Everyone rushed to buy the cloth. Wives cried for it, daughters begged for it, even grandmothers wore high heels for it. It was the talk of the city. But Ifike felt only cold fingers dragging down her spine. Another harvest, the whisper in her dreams said. Another river of cloth and souls. Days before the party, Ifike passed Mama Aduni's roasted yam stand. The old woman called her again. Her voice was fainter this time, her eyes cloudier. "Child, you still day near the cloth of spirits?" Ifike nodded weakly. Mama Aduni sighed heavily. "Then remember, when the cloth covers the drum, no one hears the beating again." She pressed a dried leaf into Ifike's hand. "When you see the cloth walking by itself, run. Don't look back. Don't greet anyone. Just run." Before Ifike could ask more, the old woman turned away and melted into the crowd. The night before the annual customer party, Lagos danced. The streets glittered with preparations. Vendors screamed themselves hoarse. Tailors sewed through the night without blinking. Inside Ashowerbi Palace, Mama Sade threw a private Thanksgiving ceremony. Candles burned low. The black door vibrated so loudly that the shelves shook. Mama Sade stood before the forbidden door, clutching a folded Ashowerbi cloth against her chest. Her eyes were completely green now. Her lips moved silently, chanting. The cloth in her hand twitched and coiled like a living snake. The door cracked slightly open, and from the darkness beyond, thin, gray fingers reached out, stroking the cloth lovingly. Mama Sade smiled wider. "Tomorrow," she whispered, "I shall drink from them again." And the door closed quietly. The day broke heavy and gray over Lagos. It was supposed to be a celebration. Mama Sade's annual customer appreciation party, the biggest event of the year. The streets outside Crystal Gardens were clogged with glittering cars. The halls inside dripped with riches, fabrics flashing, heels clicking, perfumes thick enough to choke the air. Over 2,000 guests flooded the venue, each wrapped proudly in the new blush pink and champagne diamond Ashowerbi. Even the ceilings seemed to glow with excitement. Women took selfies, men posed with wine glasses, children danced in corners. At the center of it all, on a giant throne carved with roses and tiny faces, sat Mama Sade. Her gown was pure gold. Her skin shone like polished bronze. Her smile was wider than ever. As the DJ switched tracks, as guests laughed and swayed, something began to happen. At first, it was small. A gel fell off a woman's head by itself. A child screamed that the floor was breathing. A tablecloth slid off onto the floor without anyone touching it. The music grew louder to cover the tension. Mama Sade rose gracefully, lifting her champagne glass. "To all my wonderful customers," she cried, "may your lives be as beautiful as your Ashowerbi." The hall erupted in cheers. Nobody saw the shadows stretching slowly across the floor, crawling toward the guests like fingers seeking a prize. The DJ dropped a hot jam. The dance floor flooded. Women twirled. Men sprayed money. Children clapped and laughed. And then it began. The Ashowerbi cloths, the very fabric the guests wore, started to tighten. Slightly at first. A gentle pull, a little squeeze, then harder. Necklines tightened. Waistlines crushed ribs. Skirts tangled legs. People stumbled. People gasped. But the music was too loud. The pride was too strong. "Now the cloth they hug me," they joked nervously. "Designer cloth they cling well." But Ifike saw it. She stood frozen by the refreshment table, her heart hammering against her chest. She saw the Ashowerbi moving, by itself. She saw sleeves twisting around arms. She saw geel tightening around heads. She saw Mama Sade's eyes glowing green, her mouth moving silently in a chant. And she knew the cloths were alive. Suddenly, a scream tore through the hall. A young girl collapsed, her ashoerbi binding her arms like ropes. Another woman fell, her skirt wrapping around her legs like a snake. Panic spread like wildfire. Guests tore at their clothes, ripping fabric, scratching skin. Some cloths clung harder, some loosened and slithered away like silk serpents across the marble floor. The chandeliers flickered, the floor seemed to breathe, the walls pulsed. Guests scrambled for the exits, but the doors were sealed shut. Invisible forces pushed them back, laughing softly. Only Mama Sade remained calm, standing tall at her throne, chanting. Her body began to glow, her wrinkles faded completely, her hair darkened. She was renewing herself, feeding on their energy, drinking their destinies. In the chaos, Ifeke remembered Mama Aduni's words. When you see the cloth walking by itself, run. Don't look back. Don't greet anyone. Her legs wanted to run, but something inside her, something deeper, something furious, held her in place. She had seen too much. She could not let it continue. She searched the crowd wildly. Her eyes landed on the souvenirs table. Among the bags of rice and electric kettles lay an old Yoruba drum used for decoration. An idea struck her like lightning. She grabbed the drum, lifted it high above her head, and smashed it against the floor. The sound cracked like thunder through the hall. For a second, everything froze. Even Mama Sade's smile faltered. Even the cloths loosened slightly. Ifike didn't wait. She grabbed a fallen microphone, her voice trembling but strong. "Open the doors! Now! Run! Remove your cloths if you must! Flee!" Some guests heard her. Some obeyed. They ripped their ashoerbi, threw off their jeel, kicked off their shoes, and the moment they let go, the spell began to weaken. Doors burst open with a mighty creak. Fresh air whooshed into the hall. Screaming, stumbling, crying, people flooded out into the night. Ifike ran too, but not before locking eyes with Mama Sade one last time. The old woman's face twisted, not with rage, but with sorrow. "You cannot stop the cloth of destiny," she whispered, her voice riding the wind. Then she vanished, collapsing into a heap of writhing ashoerbi. The next morning, Lagos buzzed with rumors. Some said it was a gas explosion. Some said it was a spiritual attack. Some said it was one of those things. But those who tore off Mama Sade's cloth survived, and those who clung to their pride vanished from the city. Their faces slowly faded from memory as if they were never born. And Mama Sade's ashoerbi palace? When authorities went to seal the shop, they found nothing. No cloth, no tables, no black door, just an empty, dusty space, and a faint humming in the wind. Today, they still sell ashoerbi in Oyingbo Market. Bright cloths, shiny jewel, dazzling lace. But if you listen carefully, beneath the hawkers' songs and the market drums, you might hear the old whisper, "Before you sew it, before you wear it, ask yourself who truly stitched this cloth, because some ashoerbi still carries the touch of the past, and not all cloths are meant to be worn. Some are meant to be buried with." In life, not every opportunity is a blessing. Not every cloth is for beauty. Not every invitation is meant for your rising. Sometimes the very thing you chase, out of pressure, pride, or desperation, is the same thing that will chase away your peace, your joy, your future. Be careful what you wear just to belong. Be careful the parties you attend just to impress. Because in this world, not everything bright is gold. Some smiles are stitched with sorrow. Some invitations are written in invisible ink, meant to erase you. Guard your destiny with wisdom. Protect your soul above your appearance, for it is better to stand alone in truth than to dance in crowds that are walking into darkness. Here on African Tales by Imad, we don't just tell stories. We reveal the hidden battles behind everyday life. We uncover the truths wrapped inside our culture, our choices, and our dreams. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think twice about the power of peer pressure, if it opened your eyes to the unseen dangers in the ordinary things we chase, then don't leave without becoming part of this family. Hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell, and join us as we continue to walk the beautiful path of African wisdom, one story at a time, because the next story might just be the one that saves you or someone you love. Thank you for watching. Stay wise, stay blessed, and always shine your eye.